We're starting first with the latest from the shooting incident in Netherlands. At least one person is reportedly dead in the shooting at Utrecht in Netherlands. Several people have been injured in this attack. The shooting took place inside a tram in the city. Now, the police has cordoned off a square at a tram station outside the city centre following this incident. Dutch police say that the shooting may have a terrorist motive. Emergency services have been brought in and security has been hiked at the seat of the Dutch government in The Hague. Helicopters were also brought in to evacuate those who've been injured. Now, the police is speaking with eyewitnesses and Special Interventions Service is also on the scene. Joining me live on the broadcast from Brussels is my colleague Kevin Ozebek. Kevin, good evening. What's the latest on the incident?
Well, right now over in Utrecht there is a police briefing, so hopefully soon we should have a much clearer picture of what happened there on that tram line at 10:45 this morning local time. So really just after the height of the morning rush, and a time where there would still be so many commuters on those trams either getting to or from work or just running their day-to-day errands. At this point, we do know from police that there is one confirmed person who was killed in this shooting. There were other people who were injured. At this point, we don't know how many other people are injured and the extent of their injuries. So that is one thing we are hoping police can clear up for us very, very soon. Also, according to various Dutch officials, there have been no arrests made just yet. So at this point, a shooter or potentially shooters are still on the run. We do know, though, that there is a very large police presence in the Dutch city of Utrecht. According to some local media reports, police have centered around a complex very close to where that tramline shooting did happen. So we're also waiting to see if that is in fact connected to this investigation and if that means police are making any progress or headway on this investigation and are very close to getting somebody in custody. The Dutch counterterrorism coordinator has placed the Utrecht area under a level 5 emergency. That means a terror attack is potentially imminent. Now, that is not a very long-lasting status. That is supposed to expire at 6 p.m. local time, so about 5 hours from now. But still, obviously, a very shaken Dutch country at this day, given what dramatic events we've seen unfold there today and just really in the past few hours.
Right. And Kevin, there have been a spate of attacks in Europe in the last couple of years, especially targeting public modes of transport. Could that perhaps be the reason why anti-terrorism units have been brought into play and why there's been such a high alert when it comes to terrorism in the country right now?
Well, Utrecht police are saying, and how they're wording this right now is, they're not ruling terrorism out. So they're not concretely saying that that's what in fact this was, but they also say they don't have all the evidence to either say this is what happened or enough evidence to completely rule it out. So the investigation, understandably so, just now getting underway. So still they have a lot of investigating to do on their own end. But yes, absolutely. Ever since really November of 2015, when there were the Paris attacks where more than 100 people died, this continent has been on pretty high alert. Just a few months after those attacks in Paris, we had the attacks here in Brussels where more than 30 were killed. And we saw a wave of much smaller attacks happen both across France as well as Belgium. So obviously rules, laws have changed here. Various EU countries have worked very hard to better coordinate information sharing when it comes to their various counterterrorism units, the national agencies that handle all of that information gathering. But still the threat does remain, and police really have been on high alert ever since those Paris attacks 3 years ago now.
Kevin, one last question. You brought up intelligence sharing. Given that we're still not sure if terrorism is really the motive behind today's attack, irrespective, is the Netherlands expected to share information with the rest of Europe when it comes to incidents such as these?
Yeah, well, how this works is here in Brussels, there is an EU counterterrorism coordinator who helps make sure that those channels of communication between all the national and local police forces across the EU do speak to each other and that they share tips and they share leads. There's also the agency Interpol that does a lot of that work as well. Now, before the Brussels attacks and before the Paris attacks, there were a lot of criticisms that, for example, the French and Belgian authorities weren't sharing information enough because there was a little bit of a rivalry there, or there wasn't complete and full trust between those agencies. Well, after those two terror attacks, that changed quite a bit, and there was a lot of effort, both at the national, the French and Belgian level, as well as here at the EU level, to make sure those channels of communication did open up more, and there was more information being shared. So a lot of security experts have said that in the past few years, given the challenges that Europe has faced, there has been a lot more progress in making sure that vital information between police agencies is in fact shared.
Kevin Uzebek in Brussels, thank you very much for joining us and bringing us that perspective. For our viewers, a quick update. Netherlands is on high alert. The police there hasn't ruled out terrorism as a motive. Visuals on your screen from the ongoing investigation into the incident. These are that took place in the city of Utrecht in the Netherlands.